The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, October the 25th. I am Donna Will, Professional Development Coordinator for the Developmental Disabilities Administration. We welcome you to the webinar on Financial Management and Counseling Services, also known as FMCS. On the panel today, we have Monica Harari. She is the FMCS Program Manager, and we have Dr. Emonja Smalls, Director of Professional Development. And the agencies represented today are the ARC, PPL, and GTI. From the ARC, we have Karen Bradbury and Lee McCard. Okay, sorry. PPL, we have Susan and Chantel, and GTI we have Kirsten Capeless and Rob Lewis and Jen Drank. Before we begin, there are a few things that you need to know about the webinar. All participants are in listen-only mode. There are two options for listening to the webinar, and you can find that in the audio section. You can click on the appropriate button, either computer or phone, and you can switch either one. There is a handout for this webinar, and you can find it in the handout section. We are recording the webinar, and we will be posting that on YouTube and on the DDA website. Questions can be typed in the question or chat box, and we will get to those towards the end of the presentation. So now I'd like to introduce Monica Harari. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Donna. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining the Financial Management and Counseling Services Open Enrollment Fair. Next slide, please. Next slide, Donna.
Oh, give me a sec.
Sure. Thank you. As Donna mentioned, my name is Monica Hariri. I am the FMCS Program Manager, and here is the agenda for today. Each individual will give their introduction once they appear on screen. We will have an opening remarks video to play for you today. Also, DDA's program representative will be here to talk about the choice process, as well as the three FMCS providers, GT Independence, the ARC of Central Chesapeake Region, and Public Partnerships. We'll have closing remarks, and then we'll go into a question and answer session that will be facilitated by Christy. Next slide, please. All right. So welcome to our last open enrollment fair. Open enrollment began on August the 1st and ends on November the 15th. After November the 15th, if you have not chosen an FMCS, one will be assigned for you by DDA. We will have another speaker, as I mentioned before, Christy Colbreth, who will go through and talk about your choice in that process. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we will begin with the opening remarks video from Secretary Carol Beatty of the Department of Disabilities, Deputy Secretary Bernie Simons of the Developmental Disabilities Administration, and Deputy Secretary Steve Hsu of the Healthcare Finance and Director of Medicaid. Thank you.
Give me just a second. I'm having trouble with the video. Okay, I I'm I'm going to ask for help. Christy. Oh, I see the play button. Never mind.
Thank you, Donna. Our next speaker is Christy Colbreath, the statewide coordinator for self-directed services, and she will explain more about the choice process. Christy?
All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is lovely to be with you today. Just like Monica mentioned, my name is Christy Colbreath. I'm the DDA's statewide coordinator of self-direction. And I'm really excited to share with you some information regarding financial management and counseling service. I'd first like to begin by discussing what we mean when we say financial management and counseling services, or FMCS. FMCS agencies will support Marylanders who self-direct their services. The FMCS will replace the use of fiscal management service, or FMS. The FMCS agencies will complete the same activities and tasks that the current FMS does with the enhanced support and services, like access to web portals with real-time reports so that participants and their teams can log on at any time to review budget spending, online phone and in-person customer service, including a response to questions within 1 business day, smartphone and tablet applications for timekeeping and approval, and multiple languages and other accessibility features. Next slide. I'll now review the process of open enrollment for people who are currently self-directing their services. So there are 3 steps to open enrollment. The first is to learn as much as you can about each FMCS agency. The second is to choose an FMCS agency. And finally, you'll take action steps to transition to your new FMCS. Just as Monica mentioned, open enrollment for FMCSs began on August 1st, 2022, and it will go through November 15th, 2022. If you have not chosen an FMCS before 5 p.m. on November 15th, one will be chosen for you. It's important to note that if you currently use the ARC Central Chesapeake as your FMS, you will still need to choose an FMCS agency during open enrollment. You may choose from any of the 3 FMCSs, including the ARC CCR. Next slide. The first step in open enrollment is to learn as much as you can about each FMCS agencies. So you're doing exactly that today by listening in on this information fair. So today, connect with each of them and ask the questions that are specific to you. Feel free to use the questions tab in your GoToMeeting platform, and we can make sure that we get those questions answered for you. In our slides today, we also have contact information from each FMCS so that you can contact them outside of this meeting to discuss more. And then we recommend that you meet with your team to discuss what you've learned today. You can use your CCS, your support broker, and any other team members to help you make this decision. Next slide. The next step in open enrollment is to choose an FMCS. Participants who are currently self-directing and choosing an FMCS right now will start their FMCS services on January 1st, 2023. When you decide on an FMCS, you must tell your coordinator of community services. The CCS will confirm your choice and complete the FMCS participant choice form. And they will then make that assignment to the agency. They will assign that agency to you in LTSS Maryland. Next slide. The final step in open enrollment is to take action steps to transition to your FMCS. With the support of your CCS and other team members, you're going to update your budget sheet to include your FMCS choice and fees. The newish version of the self-directed budget sheet includes a line item for your FMCS and has helpful tools to help you calculate how many months you need to budget for. You'll also want to make sure that your employees and vendors know that everyone involved is dedicated to a smooth transition and that there will be no missed payments during the transition process. And then finally, you'll want to meet with your new FMCS team to make sure your employees and vendors have all the correct paperwork for payment and for clearance of work. The FMCS team will then show you all of their processes during this time. Next slide. The steps for choosing an FMCS are different for people who are considering self-direction right now than for those who might be transitioning. So that would include people who are maybe transitioning youth who are graduating from high school, or they might be transitioning to self-direction from a provider agency using the traditional model. For those folks, they still need to learn as much as they can about each FMCS in order to make that choice. And then after they've made that choice, they'll connect with their CCS to let them know the choice that's been made, and the CCS completes the LTSS assignment. There's no need for the CCS to complete that choice form for people who are new to self-direction. That is specifically for us at the DDA to monitor who has made their choice during open enrollment. So you'll just need to make sure that you get that LTSS assignment completed, and then you'll want to connect with your new FMCS. It's important to remember that once you've chosen an FMCS, you'll need to choose an effective date to start your services. For you, this date does not need to be January 1st. You can start your self-directed services at any time. And then just a reminder, your CCS sends that service referral in the LTSS Maryland in order to make sure that the FMCS gets that notification. Sorry, Donna, next slide. The steps for taking action are also a little bit different for people who are beginning in self-direction for the first time. Once you've chosen your FMCS and are ready to begin your self-directed journey, you'll need to make sure that your PCP and budget are complete. So you'll want to make sure your PCP, the participant agreement, rights and responsibilities documentation, service implementation plans, and any other documents that Support Assess need are sent to the DDA for review. The DDA will then review your PCP and approve it if it meets program standards. And then after the DDA approves your PCP, you will send your self-directed budget sheet, family of staff form, and any wage exception forms to your chosen FMCS. They will make sure those documents meet program standards before you can begin your self-directed services. Next slide. Now I'll turn it back over to Monica to introduce our FMCS agencies.
Thank you, Christy. Now we'll hear from our FMCS agencies. GT Independence will go first. Next, we'll hear from the ARC of Central Chesapeake Region, followed by Public Partnerships. Up now, Rob with GT Independence.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Christy. First of all, I'm very excited to be here, honored that we're one of the 3 FMCSs that you're able to choose from. I can't state enough that out of the 3 selections that you have or choices that you have, I think no matter which way you go, you'll be met with a great organization and one willing to meet your every need. Go ahead, next slide. And one more slide, please. So a little bit about what we're going to talk about today is customer service and what you can expect from GT when calling our customer service team or submitting a request. Then I want to go over the enrollment process and the timeline and process on how we do enrollments. Then we'll talk about the caregiver app, which is the EBB compliant way that you will submit all of your shifts for payment. And then we'll talk about the GT portal, which is where you have access to real-time reports. And then we'll go over contact information and GT's per member per month rate. Next slide. Before I go into this, I should have introduced myself. My name is Rob Lewis. I'm our National Director of Business Development, and I'm here with my coworker, Kirsten Capeless, who is also a Director of Business Development. A little bit about GT Independence is we started providing financial management and counseling services back in 2004. It is the only service that we provide. We want to be an expert in this niche market and be able to provide you with all the necessary tools to be able to self-direct your services as easy as you can. GT started on the left-hand side. We're a family-owned, disability-led company, and it was started based off of Ben and Ben needing services in the community. So his parents decided that as they went through their self-directed journey, that they wanted to start in FMS and provide services in a more person-centered way. If you fast forward 18 years later, on the right, you see our current CEO, which is Holly Carmichael, and her daughter, Maggie. Maggie receives services in a self-directed arrangement. All of the tools and technology that we show you today are all services that both Ben and Maggie use themselves. To date, we serve 20 different states and approximately 40,000 individuals. So we're very experienced in providing financial management and counseling services and look forward to working with you on that. Next slide, please. Customer service is one of the pillars that GT kind of stands on and really we feel kind of pushes us to be excellent for all of our stakeholders. Next slide. Some of the ways that we do that is through ensuring that you're able to reach a live person within 30 seconds. We do that through a sophisticated call routing system that automatically routes your call to a Maryland customer service associate that is able to answer all of your calls, understands the program, and will be there to help you at any step that you need. We measure things like first call resolution, and on average, we average a 90% first call resolution. We want to stay on the phone with you until you feel like your questions have been answered. We don't measure things such as how many calls someone takes or how quickly we can resolve your call. And then customer satisfaction. Twice a year, we send out customer satisfaction surveys to CCSs, support brokers, employers, and employees. And among all of those stakeholder groups, we average a 98% customer satisfaction. And then we're also culturally sensitive. On staff, GT speaks 22 different languages, including American Sign Language. And we do that because we find it very essential that we meet families in their preferred language and are able to communicate with them that way. If we also have access to the hundreds of different languages through a third party that we can access if a individual speaks a language that we don't have on staff. Next slide, please.
I wanted to talk for just a second about some of the other things that we offer that help make your experience that much more enhanced. So GT prides itself on making sure that we really support you all the way through the entire process with being an employer as well as being an employee. So we have an enhanced training system that's available through our portal, as well as support with hiring. We also do real live training during the enrollment for both the employees and the employer, and make sure everyone knows how to use the caregiver app, the portal, as well as how to connect with us both virtually and live throughout your services with GT. Next slide, please. In addition, we invite you to check out our Google review. Google review is just wonderful because it really truly is public input on how a company is doing. So we're very excited to say that we have a 4.1 star rating, as well as some great feedback that you can see here, but feel free to dive in and check out our caregiver app and check out our company as a whole. Next slide.
All right, so I want to take a minute just to talk about the referral and enrollment process. So as we transition to the next slide, it's going to show you the workflow that GT has. So here you can see it's a 5-step workflow, and this on average takes approximately 5 to 7 days to complete. So day one, we receive a referral. Once we receive that referral, we within 24 hours or when one business day, reach out to both the family, any of the employees, and the CCS and support broker, thanking them for the referral and trying to schedule an enrollment date that works best for the family and their workers. Over the next day or two, we're going to do employee eligibility checks. We're going to ensure that that individual has all the necessary criminal background checks, as well as any trainings that may be required. From there, the day before the meeting that was scheduled on day one, we're going to call and confirm that that meeting is still at a time that is best for the family and their workers. If it does need to be rescheduled, we'll reschedule it then. And then we'll do the enrollment process. One of the things that we do a little bit differently is that enrollment is going to be all encompassing of the employer and any employees or vendors that you may have, so that during that meeting we can get all of the paperwork done and executed all at once, so there isn't any additional back and forth during the enrollment time or getting started in services. And then after that, we provide any ongoing follow-up. We always send a follow-up email to the support broker and CCS, letting them know how the enrollment went, letting them know if there's any additional questions that they may have or that the family has that they may need to answer. And then our customer service team at that toll-free number that I spoke of earlier will be there to assist with any additional questions by any stakeholder. Next slide, please. So as I talked about the enrollment process, the way that GT completes enrollments is through a technology that we call GT Enroll. And this is an electronic platform that an enrollment specialist will pre-fill out all of the information here, ask questions to make sure that it's filled out completely, almost similar to like TurboTax, if you've ever used TurboTax, asks you a series of questions and then fills out the forms based on your answer. And then once those forms are populated, it provides an electronic option for individuals to sign off. And the only thing that they have to do is apply their signature to each of the forms, and then the forms are complete. Again, the benefit of this, it dramatically decreases the amount of time that it takes to complete this paperwork, or eliminates the back and forth between your FMCS and the family or employee to fill out the paperwork accurately, or if you missed a signature or two, it eliminates all of that because you can't complete it until each section or data point is filled in accurately. This system is accessible through any computer, tablet, or smartphone. And then GT Independence is High Trust certified, which is the gold standard for data security. So all stakeholders can be sure that their information is safe with GT. And I'm going to pass it over to Kirsten as we go to the next slide to talk about our caregiver app.
Great, thank you, Rob. Next slide, please. So as you already heard, EVV is going to be required in Maryland starting January 1st. So GT Independence has created our own caregiver app that's specific for self-direction in order to meet those needs. We've been using this app for quite a number of years and actually are modifying it all the time to continue to do all the best things that we can. It's very simple to use, and of course it's free as well. So you can download it for an Android or Apple device on Google Play or the Apple Store. It's available in both English and Spanish. Of course, it's secure and private. So just like Rob said, high trust certified, HIPAA safe. When you are using the app to clock in and out, you can clock in and out for those EVV required shifts like personal supports and respite. And we can also show you how to add information after the fact for things like mileage right through the app. Next slide, please. Our app works with or without internet services, so don't worry if you happen to be in an area that doesn't have good Wi-Fi coverage. When you do get back into an area that has coverage, it'll upload it then and there. In addition, we've built in lots of features inside of our app that make it easy to know whether your information has been signed off on. So when you're a caregiver inputting your time, you can actually see when the participant approves your time. You can also see when GT has received your time, so there's no guessing game as to whether you're going to be paid on time. In addition to that, you can do things like add notes. There's the 24 ADLs and IADLs listed on a checklist that you can just check off what you've completed on the shift. There's also a voice to text feature, so you can click on the little microphone and add any extra notes you want to add without even having to type. In addition, we have added biometrics, so you can use your fingerprint or face scan to get right into the app without having to remember your password. Rob, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think just as we talk about all our technology, all of this technology is built internally by GT staff. So we have a team of 25 to 30 system engineers that work on all of our technology. One of the benefits for families and workers is that if there happens to be an upgrade or an enhancement that we make, we're able to prioritize that and get that completed in a timely fashion. The other thing I just wanted to add, our GT staff also use this caregiver app to clock in and out for their own time. So when you're contacting customer service and if you have questions about how to submit a shift or whatnot, they're well versed in that as they use it themselves. So you don't have to call a second 800 number to access any trainings for this. Our staff will be able to help you with that.
We've also added the feature to be able to sign off on shifts right inside of the app. So if you are approving your own shifts, when your caregiver works your shift, you can use their phone or device and sign off on the time and it's ready to be paid. Or you can use the review later feature where the shift goes into the portal. That's a great feature if somebody has a guardian or representative that's signing off later, or if they just don't want to sign off inside of the app but would rather do it once every 2 weeks. Next slide, please. In addition, we have quite a lot of training features built right into the app. So there's a built-in app tutorial that goes start to finish all the way through all of the components, as well as the ability to dip in if you're stuck and not sure exactly what to do with one particular feature. We have those little videos as well as words right in there that'll explain it. We also have a user guide that's available inside of our GT portal. We can email it to you and we deliver it to you when we do the enrollment. We have video walkthroughs on platforms like YouTube that are very easy to watch. And then we'll add extra resources as needed. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So speaking of the GT portal is our access to real-time data and reporting. Everybody's going to have access to the GT portal. The participant, of course, has full access to everything. It's your program and your budget, so you get to see all of the details. Your employees have access to their W-2s and their pay stubs, and they're able to view things like how much earned time do they have. And the CCSs are able to see all of the information as well as DDA, so they get all of the required reports for the CMS waiver services. When everyone logs into the portal, the very first thing you see is a dashboard that shows you unread notifications. So if you're a participant or the employer of record, like a guardian or representative, and if you have any outstanding timesheets to sign off on, they're right there the minute you log on. In addition, you have the ability to pin reports, which lets you pick your very favorite reports and have them right there on your dashboard so you don't have to go hunting for them. Down the left side of the dashboard is a toolbar that gives you quick access to all the different features that I'm going to walk you through. Next slide, please. We have over 13 standard reports as well as custom reports available. These are the ones that are typically the favorites of different individuals, like the budget report, which allows you to see your information right there on the screen. We have created our budget reports to meet multiple types of learning styles. So you can see it like a bank statement where it kind of tallies down all of the items, but you also have in the top right corner a little, we call it a donut, where the green section is what's still available to spend and the red section is what's already been spent. So at any given moment in time, you can get a little visual indication of how much have you spent and how much do you have left to spend. You can also see pending time that's going to be paid out right there on that budget report. You can see great other reports like the calendar usage report we find is quite a big favorite, where you can at a glance look across the month and see exactly the number of hours, the types of services, and the days of the month that it was applied. It lets you know if services are being delivered as expected, or if you have certain patterns, or if you're missing different types of shifts where you want to recruit individuals to fill those shifts. Next slide, please. GT Resources is available inside of the portal, and that gives you access to all the different user guides, including the portal user guide, the caregiver app user guide, as well as employment applications, job descriptions, any of the other forms or tips or tricks that you might want to access as you're navigating your employer services. Next slide, please. One of my favorite features inside of the GT portal is the caregiver link. The caregiver link is a tool that we developed in order to help people access all of their hours while they're self-directing. We know that keeping people healthy and safe in the community goes hand in hand with making sure that you get access to filling all of your staffed hours. In order to do so, we have this caregiver link, which helps match participants that are looking for additional workers to fill their hours. The individuals that are in there as caregivers are individuals that are already working in Maryland. They've already passed the background check and are looking for additional hours. You're able to search using things like zip codes, so you can decide how far away you're willing to have your employees be. You can also filter on things like language spoken or caregiver trainings, any of those items, as well as many more. It provides you a list of individual staff that are looking for more hours, but you're still getting all the authority and empowered in your program to make your own hiring decisions. So you can still interview and make your choices and decisions. Next slide, please.
So I know Kirsten and I just threw a bunch of information at you. We're much more than just a payroll or a technology company. Here are 10 different buckets of different tasks that we do for each and every individual that we provide FMCS for, such as procuring workers' compensation insurance or withholding and filing taxes. So if you want to learn more about any of these buckets, please let us know and we'd be happy to talk more in depth about those. I want to point your attention to the top right section of this. Our per member per month rate is $123. And I also want to point out that we are the only FMCS that maintains that same rate across all 5 years of the contract. So there will be no increase rates over the course of that time frame. Next slide. So as you are thinking about who you're going to choose as your FMCS, please know that if you choose GT for a 1/1 start date, we'll complete those enrollments in December so that we're able to train you on all of the technology and all of the services that we just went over in that person-centered approach, either in your home or virtually. If you have questions, you can always send it to this customer service at gtsd.org email address. Or if you've got questions or want to send information about a referral, you can send it to referral@gtsd.org. And then we've got Jen Durgans, our Director of Relationships, that is there to answer any questions for you. And of course, Kirsten and or myself that would be more than happy to answer any questions. So thank you for your time. If you'd like demonstrations on any of our systems, please reach out to us. And I'll hand it back to you, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Next slide, please. And up next, we have the ARC Central Chesapeake region.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Bradbury. I am the Director of Outreach at the Central Chesapeake region. Lee and I, our Director of Employer Resources, will be sharing information with you guys today as you guys are making your choice as to which FMCS provider you will be selecting. We also want to express that we are grateful that the Maryland Department of Health insured participants would continue to have choice of their FMCS provider under the new service contract. It's important that participants have a say in who supports them. Next slide, please. So when getting to know an organization, it is worth looking at the company's roadmap. That begins with an overview of our vision, mission, and values. You can see that the ARC's focus is on the person living the life that they choose. The ARC's role is to promote access to the services that they need to make that happen. Next slide, please. And it's also important to look at a company's history. The ARC Central Chesapeake region started with a promise by a group of parents who envision a different future for their children than what was available to them in 1961. Since then, the ARC has grown dramatically and now supports thousands of people with disabilities and their families every year. The ARC's programs and services support the full spectrum of a person's life from birth through retirement and all the joys and opportunities in between. And next slide, please. At this time of open enrollment, we know that you have a choice regarding who supports you throughout your self-directed journey, and it's an important one. We want you to have all the information you need to make the most informed decision. Why should you choose the ARC? We think the ARC's history with self-direction in Maryland, our relationship with key stakeholders, our customer-centric approach, and our commitment to transformation are all important reasons why the ARC stands out as the clear choice. And I will let Lee take on the next slide, please.
Thank you, Karen. The ARC has shown its commitment to self-direction by serving self-directed Marylanders for nearly 20 years. The ARC continues its commitment to self-direction in Maryland by building necessary infrastructure to support the growth and fulfill the needs and robust program integrity and accountability. As a longtime Maryland-based nonprofit organization, the ARC has developed valuable institutional knowledge from its experience and strives for continuity of services. The ARC currently serves 2,000 program participants statewide. Next slide, please. Throughout your self-directed journey, you want an organization who knows Maryland-based resources, advocacy groups, and key contacts. Across the ARC's 60 years as a Maryland provider and nearly 2 decades of serving self-directed participants, we've developed strong community connections that will benefit you. The ARC has partnered with Maryland-based support broker agencies, Centers for Independent Living, and with whom we have long-standing relationships to ensure FMCS counselors are available in participants' local communities across the state. Due to our legacy services, the ARC has developed networks with CCS agencies as well as veteran support brokers and administrators for the state of Maryland. Next slide, please. The ARC takes a customer-centric approach towards services. In self-direction, you are the boss, but understanding how we help is critical. It's our role to provide you with the information that you need to make important decisions, the information that you need for your success. We have an experienced team ready to help you navigate common challenges. The ARC prioritizes timely, professional, and thorough responses to your inquiries. When you call, you speak with us, and our knowledgeable team members are there for you directly. It's our goal for you to be successful as an employer, and we're here to help you navigate those common employer challenges. At the ARC, we are here for you and because of you. Next slide, please. For those currently being served by the ARC, you will notice the state's new program requirements and processes, but we will work directly with you to successfully maneuver and adapt. While there are changes that you can expect, we're committed to continuing to deliver a high level of service to support and navigate the changes and support the service continuity. We're in this together. We commit to delivering the high level of customer service and support you have come to expect from the ARC. Through the implementation of our new software, FMS Engine, we will ensure that we can establish the compliance which the state requires while making self-direction easier and more transparent. And Karen's going to talk to you about that further. Next slide, please. Karen, you're muted.
Oh my goodness. All right. I'm just going off on a tangent then. All right. So FMS Engine, our new purpose-built software, launched this month, and it is adding transparency to our services and making information easier to access. The ARC knows that when you choose to self-direct, you experience greater autonomy and at the same time accept more responsibility. FMS Engine acts like a personal assistant to ensure things get done correctly. Here are some of the benefits. The system will provide a participant dashboard available to the participants team, including their CCS and support broker, with real-time spending information so you know exactly where things stand with your budget. Gone are the days of emailed monthly budget statements. Instead, you're able to view your budget balance online 24/7 with one simple login. There are also multiple reports available to the team. It's truly all the information you need to manage your services. Also, a part of FMS Engine is our new electronic timekeeping app called EVI, available through FMS Engine, which will provide electronic visit verification or EVV compliance. There are a few things about EVI that make it awesome. No internet is no problem for EVI. The app is able to record shift time and location and store it until a connection to the internet is established. Also available in the app, employees will have a list of activities of daily living or ADLs to choose from, as well as a narrative box for any shift notes required by the team. When employees are recording a shift, only service codes authorized in the participant's current plan and budget will be available for selection. Coming soon, we will also launch Ivory, our telephonic visit verification technology, which is just another means to record time entries in the event that the team does not have access to a smartphone or a tablet. All you need for Ivory is access to a landline. And then coming out in 2023, FMS Engine will offer a self-service portal for automated online employee onboarding, which will help expedite the hiring process and ensure that those new hire packets are completed the first time, or the correct way the first time. It is also HIPAA compliant and secure, so the employee's data is safe. We are really excited about how FMS Engine is making self-directing easier for those that we serve. Please visit our new dedicated tools and technology page on our website for training videos, quick start guides, user manuals, and a ton of other information. Next slide, please. Donna, next slide. Oh, thank you. So we do have a $200 monthly FMCS fee. You may be wondering why there is a big difference in the rates. It is important to know that the new fee is a reduction in the previous average fee of $250 per month. As a 20-year legacy provider, continuing to serve self-directed Marylanders is very important to us. The ARC is proud to have the opportunity to continue to provide the services, but we are also making the commitment to the critical investments in the new technology, infrastructure, staffing resources, and other tools necessary to scale services and meet the state's new requirements. The ARC is contracted exclusively in Maryland, and as such, we are not able to leverage the resources of self-directed contracts in other states. And as the only nonprofit FMCS provider, the ARC is continuously focused on enhancing and investing in services for people in self-direction that may go beyond the required scope. That means the economic impact of your choice to select the ARC as your provider and the fee that you pay stays in the state of Maryland. Another benefit is our personal connection to you. Since we serve only Maryland, we make available to you specialists and managers whose sole focus is on Maryland's self-directed stakeholders. When you call us, you are reaching out to our Maryland office and being served by our Maryland-based self-directed services team, who's committed to providing individualized support and assistance. Next slide, please. The ARC also issues an annual participant satisfaction survey. Across the last 3 years, participants and their teams have provided a ton of great feedback, which we've used as a barometer to determine how we are doing in the eyes of those that we serve. Here are some of their direct quotes that we would like to share. We appreciate the commitment and quality you bring to your services and the timely way staff responds to questions and concerns. Another quote is, a lot of great folks that really care about folks with disabilities. We've really come to love working with the ARC. They are quick to respond with any concerns that we have. They provide a great service and they just keep getting better all the time. Highly recommended. Another quote, payroll services and accounts payable team members are awesome. They are always polite and answer all questions and easy to understand explanations. And those are just some of our favorite quotes that we've received out of that study. Next slide, please. We are very hopeful that the information Lee and I have shared helps you better understand the benefits to choosing the ARC as your FMCS provider. If you still have questions, I know that we have a Q&A coming up. We also encourage folks to visit our website, as it's truly a one-stop shop with tons of great information about the enrollment process, our technology, or other questions that you may have. You are also welcome to reach out and give us a call. We do thank you for taking time out of your day to learn about our organization and the FMCS selection process. The ARC looks forward to working with you, Maryland Department of Health, and additional FMCS providers to support Marylanders with disabilities that self-direct. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Lee. Up next, public partnerships.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susan Segru. I am the community liaison here in Maryland with Public Partnerships. Next slide, please. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 3 reasons for you to choose Public Partnerships, or PPL, as your FMCS provider. Throughout our presentation, you're going to see a few of the real participants that we actually serve. This is Anita Paris. She's been self-directing with PPL since 2018. There's a really great video of her online on our website, which I enjoy. She just talks about her experience with us, and I think if you want to, you should check it out. Next slide, please. So today we're going to talk about the financial benefits that PPL offers for you, your loved one, and employees, our easy enrollment process with hands-on help, and public partnerships over 20 years of experience. Next slide. So what are those financial benefits that we offer that make us different? Next slide, please. To start, we are the lowest cost FMCS provider at $83 a month. We do go up in small increments, but we will always be the lowest rate, and we will always be under $100. That means that choosing PPL has the potential to save you between $480 and $1,400 per year. Next slide, please. And I want you to think about that for a moment. Has there been something you've been looking to allocate your funds towards, something that you haven't had the room for before? With PPL, you'll have that flexibility because you'll have extra money in your budget. Next slide, please. Another great benefit that we offer is something called daily pay. This is a benefit we created specifically for your employees, and it does not impact your budget. Daily pay is a service that gives your employees access to their paycheck within the next business day of your approval. It's for a fee as low as 49 cents. And again, it doesn't come out of your budget. It's going to come directly out of your employee's paycheck. Now, some people worry about this because they think maybe their employee might utilize this service too much. But I do want you to rest assured that we have parameters in place to make sure that employees aren't overutilizing this and they won't use up the entirety of their paycheck. This is a really great benefit that we created because sometimes emergencies happen. Sometimes people need access to their funds before their next paycheck, and this gives them the ability to do so. Next slide, please. Now I want to talk to you about our easy enrollment process with hands-on help. Next slide. So how do you get started with PPL? Well, the first thing you're going to do is call your CCS provider and you're going to ask to be assigned. Once your CCS assigns PPL in the LTSS system, it's going to send over a referral to us. Once we get that referral, we're going to assign an enrollment specialist. That's going to be your one point of contact that's going to assist you with enrollment and questions. They're going to provide a welcome call, introduce themselves, learn about you and your team, and schedule an appointment either in person at your house, in a mutual location, virtually, or in our office to complete that onboarding paperwork, do all the documentation. They're going to be with you every step of the way to make sure everything is completed accurately and completely to ensure that it's only a one-time thing. Once they complete all that documentation with you, they'll submit it in our My Account, which is our online portal that I'm going to actually talk about next. They will also walk you through our online portal, our mobile app, our tools, and they'll be able to provide any training that you need. Next slide, please. So our My Account is a really easy to use dashboard that has a personalized view depending on the role. Each person's login is going to be unique to them and can be used on both our app and our portal. And the view that they see is going to be specific to them. So your employees aren't going to be able to look at your budget. They're not going to be able to see how much you're paying other employees. This is also where you can review any reports. You can break it down to review payroll by month. You can also review your budget in real time. And again, it's got really simple to use graphics. You can upload an e-signature there, which is my favorite feature because it makes documentation and onboarding so much easier. You're going to save your e-signature and just populates every time you need to sign, and you click it each time so that it makes it just a more efficient, smoother process. It's purposely designed around our decades of experience that we have working in self-direction, supporting case managers, participants, authorized representatives, care, and support workers. It's going to be the place where all your documentation is going to be uploaded. Your employees can access their W-2, any tax information, previous payroll, and if you don't approve on the app, you can approve time entries here as well. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about our application. Our application is called Time for Care. It was created in 2015 when nothing else like it was on the market. We currently use it across 13 states. And this app is really easy to use. It's got large graphics where you click your clock in, clock out. You can add a past shift there if you do forget to clock in or out. You can also approve time, review payrolls, timesheets, and you can also submit mileage here on the app. This app can be used without internet. A lot of people worry about having accessibility to Wi-Fi, but with this app, that's not an issue. You can clock in and clock out. It's going to capture your location for that brief moment of clock in and clock out. And once you get back to a place where you have internet, everything will upload. Your enrollment specialist can definitely walk you through this, and they can also do an EVV training with you as well. Another great feature I like about this application is that in our settings, you can add biometrics, so you can just put your fingerprint in, and you can do a walkthrough of how to use the application. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about public partnerships over 20 years of experience. Next slide. PPL was founded in 1999, and we have been the leading FMCS provider in self-direction for the past 23 years. We are also in 23 states. We serve over 100,000 participants and over 115,000 employees. We know Maryland, we have served contracts here before for 7 years, and we were really happy when we were able to get back in Maryland and support again. We also proudly serve your neighbors. We are currently serving in West Virginia since 2006, Pennsylvania since 2012, and Virginia since 2012. Next slide, please. We've implemented many programs over the course of 23 years, and we understand the concern that comes with change. We have the people, tools, and plans to ensure a successful journey that have been tried and tested over our 2 decades of service. Next slide, please. We are in Maryland. We have an office. It's right across from the Ravens Stadium, and it has parking right there on site. It's going to be at 145 West Austin Street, Suite 600 in Baltimore, Maryland. All we ask is that you call and schedule an appointment because a lot of the time we are out in the field. So as long as we have an appointment, we know what to expect you, we'll be there. Next slide, please. So what did we talk about today? We talked about the financial benefits for you, your loved ones, and employees, the easy enrollment process with hands-on help, and our over 20 years of experience in self-direction. Next slide. We are here to help, so please reach out anytime. I know you have until November 15th to make your decision, and it's a lot of information to absorb at one time, so we can absolutely schedule one-on-one to meet with you and your team and explain anything that you might want to go over again, answer any questions specific to you. We do have a customer service number listed here. Jose Padilla is our customer service lead in Maryland. He does have a team available as well. And our customer service team does have access to a language line with over 100 languages, so we can communicate in the way that's best for you. You can email us at any time. We do respond within 24 hours. And please visit our website. We have really great resources there and tools, different videos that walk you through our My Account system, our Time for Care. It's on YouTube. We have some videos of our participants and their experience, as well as tools and resources for self-direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of our FMCSs for your informative presentations. If anyone has specific questions related to an individual for any of the FMCS agencies, please contact their designated representative. Their names, emails, and phone numbers are listed here. A live person will be available to answer your questions during this important decision-making process. Next slide, please. Listed here are all of the statewide coordinators. Listed here is our statewide coordinator, Christy Colbreth. You met her earlier. She went through the choice process, but we also have each of the regions listed as well. If you have any questions, please click the link and it'll open up an email dialog box so you can contact them directly. Next slide, please. Also listed here are resources and tools. We have listed the training calendar, which is great for any upcoming events that we have. And we also have other information pertinent to your self-direction and the financial management counseling services, as well as the FMCS's provider fees for a side-by-side comparison. Next slide, please. So in closing, we want to thank you all for attending the FMCS Informational Fair. We have one more session this evening beginning at 5 o'clock. You can click the link here to sign up if you want to attend that session again. But we also want to invite you to visit the DDA web pages. In the future, if you have any other questions or if you want to receive any more information, for instance, a copy of this type of PowerPoint presentation, you can find that on the DDA's website. So next, I will bring Christy back in and she will facilitate the Q&A. Thank you, Christy.
All right. I do see a handful of questions in the questions box, but if you have not asked your question yet, please do so, and we'll make sure we get that answered for you. All right, so we have a handful, so I'll get started. We'll ask that each FMCS respond to the question before we go forward with the next. So we'll start with GT and then go to the ARC and then PPL. So that will be our order. All right, so I really like this question, so we'll start with it. The FMCS system for people has been up for about a month. Are there helpful tips that have been learned by each agency that can help those of us who are enrolling on January 1st? Any glitches and how to avoid any issues? So we'll start with GT.
Thanks, great question. We're excited. We've actually been serving individuals since August with some of those individuals that chose us directly and they were brand new to self-direction. And then we had our October 1st onboarding as well. I think things went very smoothly overall. We've been serving almost 40,000 people across the country, across 20 different states. For almost 20 years. So we were really excited to watch Maryland roll out. In terms of what to expect for January 1st, I would say two things come to mind to help it go even more smoothly. One thing to know is that because signatures on those tax forms are only good for 30 days, we're doing all of our enrollments in December. So as we file those forms for the January 1st start date, they'll still all be effective. And I think that that's something that's really important to know because people sometimes think the referrals come through and we'll call them and do the paperwork right away. The other thing to know from a GT perspective is that we do your enrollment all in one meeting. So we typically have the participant and all of their employees together at the same time. Takes about an hour. or so if the person has 1 to 2 employees, and an extra 15 minutes or so beyond that for each additional employee. So roughly it's been taking about an hour to an hour and a half, given the number of employees people tend to have. That allows us to do it at once and get it all done for you and do all the training. People are loving that piece. It's a change though from how traditional other providers had approached it in Maryland previous. So just knowing that is important as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Bjork.
you.
Yeah, I would say any tips for people coming into FMS Engine and starting to use that platform. A couple things. I would encourage people to start using EVI as you would as an EVV compliant system, just so that way come 1/1, once EVV is, up and running in the state of Maryland, you guys will be in a good place to start being EVV compliant with the state's guidelines. I would also say that if you guys are coming into FMS Engine, please ensure that you guys have email addresses for each employee, so that way they can access appropriately. We also need an email address for the participant, just so that way they can also access the participant dashboard and approve that time moving forward. So those are my tips on people getting started up in FMS Engine.
Great. And PPL?
Thank you for that question. So the feedback that we've gotten so far has been that everybody has enjoyed the app so far and its ease of use. A tip that I would say is to make sure that you come prepared with all contact info for your team. That way we can get everything completed as quickly as possible. And we do provide hands-on assistance for all families. So if there ever was something that you were running into that was a concern, you can absolutely contact us and we will get back to you immediately to make sure that we solve your concern.
Great, thank you so much. All right, our next question is, and I'll let Kirsten answer it a little differently since it's worded strange. So the question is, fundamentally, do any of the other agencies offer an employee search app as well as GT? So we'll start with GT and maybe have Kirsten explain it a little bit more. And then so for the other two, what services do you provide that can help people to find employees?
Thank you. I do love our caregiver link, and I was the one that got to tell you a little bit about it earlier. It's one of my favorite things to talk about because I feel like it is something that helps people really self-direct with the most success. Like I said earlier, filling up those hours and making sure you get access to all of your authorized hours is one of the best ways to keep somebody healthy and safe in the community. So we do have over 30,000 individuals in our caregiver link across the country. We're already serving the VDC in Maryland, so we've already been building our footprint in Maryland along with this new FMCS. In addition to that, we help you with all the traditional hiring mechanisms, like how to post a job ad, where to post, how to get connected with local advocacy networks, as well as Facebook groups in Maryland. We're already connected with SDAN, we're familiar and connected with the SILs and many other local resources as well. So we have lots of ideas and can't wait to tell you about them.
Great. Karen or Lee?
So yeah, at this time we do not have something like that, but I'm not saying it can't happen down the road.
We do recommend social media sites, and in onboarding, we do work with people to try to utilize that. We help them with the advertising and things like that, though.
Great. And Susan at PPL?
So we do have something called PPL Connect in our My Account system where you can search for employees that are available to work. We are also connected with the different advocacy groups. I meet with them pretty often and we can recommend different tips to where to post jobs, and we definitely recommend social media as one of those avenues.
Great, thank you so much. Our next question: how will your agency support people to be EVV compliant, electronic visit verification? Please describe your products. So we'll get started with GT.
Thank you for the question. I actually love this question. I had the pleasure of helping bring multiple states online across the country to full EVV compliance, including Maine. And for those of you that may not know, Maine is considered the oldest state in the country, and there's a lot of people that just really had not ever even used technology before. So we take a very person-centered approach. Whatever it is that you need, we're happy to do. One of the neat things about our EVV app is we built it ourselves and our own staff use it. So anybody that you're talking to is also using it to document their time. So they really are experts because they use it every single day. We're able to come out to your kitchen table. We can help you figure out how to navigate getting technology. If you're not sure, if you don't have a tablet or access to a smartphone, we'll help you problem solve that. As you probably know, Maryland's a technology first state. The sills have lending closets, as well as you have access within your waiver supports to be able to purchase products if you need to. So we're able to help you in person. We're able to help you virtually through a video chat type of scenario, over the phone. We have written materials. We translate into all the different languages, any language that you might need, and probably even more than that, but whatever you need, we're happy to meet you there.
Thank you. Karen or Lee?
I'll take this one, Christy. So yeah, we have tons of training guides and manuals and training videos on our tools and technology page on our website. So we encourage folks to start reviewing that documentation sooner rather than later. That way you guys are prepared for that EVV compliance coming in 2023. Because 2023 is quickly approaching. I would also encourage anyone that already has access to FMS Engine to start using Evie as your timekeeping app and start using it like you're intending to be EVV compliant. So, you know, anytime staff's logging those personal support hours or those respite hours, do it in real time. So that way you guys get into the swing and the habit of doing that. I also mentioned that we do have a EVV compliant timekeeping function via a landline. So it's definitely something that we can explore, and there's tons of information about that system on our website as well.
Thanks. And Susan at PPL?
So our EVV compliant app was created in 2015, and it is currently being used across 13 states. If you don't have a mobile device and you prefer to use a landline, we do also have a system called telephony, where you would use a landline to clock in and out, and that is EVV compliant. The one thing I would want to let you know is, since it's a landline, it would have to be used in the home and wouldn't be in the community. But our app is completely EVV compliant, and our enrollment specialist can do a one-on-one training with you regarding EVV compliance.
Thank you so much. I have plenty of questions, but just want to make sure that anyone on the call does input their questions into the questions box. The next question: how do you support people, their families, and employees to understand the technology necessary for EVV and accessing the portals? So how do you support people, their families, and employees in understanding the technology you provide? So we'll start with GT.
Thank you for the question. We really enjoy supporting individuals to be able to fully access all of the technology. So I, in the last question, talked about how we go about doing the caregiver app training, which is our EVV app, where we sit down with you and train you on it. We leave you with materials that are printed. We also have live customer service support. And if you remember, Rob said we answer those calls with a live person within 35 seconds. They themselves are using the app. In addition, for the portal, so our app and portal are made right by our own IT team. So they sync up perfectly together instantly. So the portal we also use. So we're able to train you on the enrollment meeting on how to use it. We can train all the different users because you all have different views. We also can do things called like ghosting accounts. So if you're struggling to try and figure out where to find something, we can do a screen share and we can actually log in like it's you and show you exactly what you should click on and what you will see. And I find that's a game changer because you actually see it from your own viewpoint. But we have lots of resources, and again, we take a very person-centered approach. So whatever meets your needs best is how we like to deliver it. Thank you again.
Great. Now the ARC, how do you support people, their families, and employees in understanding the technology?
I'll take this one. So once again, we have our website, which has a lot of tools and resources. We have videos, we have instruction guides. We also will do Teams meetings with people to walk them through the process, where we'll take over, we'll show them exactly how the system works. We have had people who are not computer savvy at all, just in onboarding by itself, that are not, they're not computer savvy at all. So just teaching them the basics and then moving on to how easy it is to use the system and be EVV compliant. So we definitely walk people through their individual needs. Thank you.
Great. And PPL, how do you support people, their families, and employees to understand the technology?
Thank you for the question. So your enrollment specialist is going to be with you throughout the life of the program, and they will be doing that one-on-one training with you, whether it's virtual or in person, to ensure that you're comfortable using all of our technology, the online portal, as well as our Time for Care application. There's also videos, virtual demonstrations. We have them right on our website. We have them on our YouTube page. And we will meet with you, like I said, one-on-one, and we can have those meetings to meet you where you are to make sure we are, to make sure that you are comfortable using everything.
Great. All right, we have a question here. Do all EVV applications for each agency have a feature to go in and change your time should someone forget to clock in and clock out? And are there additional features that your apps or that your customer service provide to help employees to remember to clock in and clock out? Kirsten?
What a great question. I'm loving these questions today. We do have two ways inside of the GT Caregiver app that you can do what you just asked. So if you clock in and clock out and you clocked in and need to adjust your time, or you're clocking out and need to adjust that time, at the end of clocking out, you have the ability on that first screen to adjust your times. So that's not a problem. It's like a little dial, and you can dial to the correct time. You can also add shifts after the fact through the manual shift entry, and so that is fine too. So easy to do as well. Manual shift entries are not EVV compliant because you're not actually doing it through the EVV system, which keeps track of your time and location. But it is a way still to add shifts. So especially for those shifts that aren't needed for EVV, it's a great solution for those that maybe don't want to clock in and clock out every single time. We also have a lot of extra features we've built in for ease of use. And they're all optional, so nothing you have to do, but things you can do. So when you're going to clock in the very first time, you have the option to set a reminder to remind you to clock out. So you'll actually get a text message to your device that says, hey, it's time to clock out. You get to set how many hours you think you're going to work, and it'll just send you a gentle reminder. Of course, it doesn't clock out for you because we need you to do that to make sure you really meant to clock out. In addition, we have geofencing, which is a savvy little word for saying to remind you when you arrive, right? So if you're going to the participant's house or to a certain spot in the community and you want to be reminded when you get there to log in to work, we also have that kind of text message push notification that's available. Again, it's just optional, but they're nice things if you're struggling to remember. Thanks, Christy.
Hey,
Great.
Christy, I just wanted to jump in. I think the other thing that our app offers is also we've got what we call health screening questions. Specifically, if the state or family wanted to have employees answer certain questions, they could answer questions such as, do they have access to food and supplies for a week? Do they have COVID symptoms? Stuff like that that we could put in there. Also, in the note section that Kirsten was talking about, if you wanted to track items such as seizures for an individual and be able to take that to the doctor to show how often those seizure activities occurred, you could also do that. So it is a very all-encompassing tool that you can use with other service providers.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rob. Those things sync right to our portal. So like in the seizure activity example, we've had individuals that they wanted the staff to track how many seizures and how long did they last and what were the characteristics of the seizures. And then through the portal, they were able to print out all of those reports and take it right to the neurologist. And that really helped curtail the treatment to meet specifically to the participants' needs. And that's just one of many examples of how the notes and portal work together.
Great. All right. So the ARC, the question is, do you have a do all of the EV apps have a feature to retro or manually add time if someone forgets to clock in and clock out? Additionally, are there ways to support people to remember to clock in and clock out? And then I'll let you kind of share any other kind of highlights of the app that you have.
Yeah, so the EVI module as a part of FMS Engine does let you go in and update, any shifts after the fact, but like Kirsten said, that shift would then not be EVB compliant if it's personal supports or respite. So just something to be aware of there. We do have push notifications built into the app. So, kind of gives you guys those updates on letting you know that a shift is running and that a shift should be starting. And yeah, we definitely encourage people to check out our tools and technology page for more information about that. Thanks.
That's great. Susan at PPL, does the app have ways to manually add time? How can you help remind people to clock in their time? Any other useful features of your app?
So our app does have reminders to remind you to clock out. It also has the capability to add a past shift and to edit time, but again, it will not be EVB compliant. One thing that we do have in the app to monitor EVB compliance is it's this little dial, and it will show green for everything's going great, yellow for hey, let's have a conversation, and red, we really gotta start working on our EVB compliance. So I think that's something really great in our application to help with monitoring EVB compliance.
Great. All right, our next question. I love this one. It happens, we often get it at these informational fairs. So please explain the process for how a person would submit a vendor payment request or including mileage reimbursement. So how might a person submit payment for reimbursement that's not a timesheet? And then how often are those payments paid out, especially mileage reimbursement? GT?
Such a great question. So our vendors can go in through the GT portal and submit their invoices that way. You can also fax or scan or email, whatever your preference. In terms of mileage, you can actually do mileage right inside of the caregiver app. So you're able to submit it that way, or if you prefer to do mileage on paper and scan it, fax it, email it, or upload it in the portal, that's fine too. Whatever you like best is okay with us. We kept our payment cycle very simple. So we pay every 2 weeks, and on that every 2 week pay cycle, we pay the individual caregivers, right? The employees working the shifts. We also pay vendors, and we do mileage reimbursement. So it's nice and timely and quick and easy to remember.
Great. The ARC? So the question
So yeah, as far as accounts payable goes, or vendor payments, you guys would submit them via email at this time, either email or fax to our dedicated inbox for that processing. I know that as a part of FMS Engine in 2023, we are hoping to implement another module that would allow for those payments to be submitted through FMS Engine as a kind of like just a drop-in. So add the attachment and we'll process it for payment, and more information about that will be coming in the new year.
Great. And PPL? Vendor payments, how are they processed and how often?
So they are processed weekly along with mileage. A vendor form can be completed in My Account or sent to us via email, and mileage can be submitted in our application, on My Account, or sent to us via email as well. And again, they're both paid on a weekly basis.
Excellent. I will say, while all of these companies have a little bit of a different schedule regarding vendor payments and mileage reimbursements and other reimbursements, the payroll schedule has been agreed upon by all three agencies. So no matter which agency you use, employees will be paid on that same schedule. It's important to note that if you currently use MedSource, the payroll schedule will be a little bit different. There will be a little bit of time in between when a person turns in their timesheet and when they're paid for it. So keep that in mind as you're transitioning or supporting someone to transition. All of these agencies are more than happy to support employees and teams in helping understand that new payroll schedule for those new employees. Got a couple more questions that I'm really excited about. The next one is, from start to finish, what is the standard or what is the usual timeline for employees to be cleared to work after a person decides to hire someone? GT?
That's a fantastic question. So I'm going to answer in two ways. If the participant is brand new and their employees are brand new, so we're enrolling everybody at the same time, we do that meeting all together in one meeting majority of the time, unless somebody purposely and specifically wants to do it separate, that's fine. But that meeting takes about an hour and a half, and then we are able to process the background checks for the employees to make sure they're eligible to work in Maryland, and we process the packets. And so from the date of enrollment, it is 3 to 5 days to be able to start, 3 to 5 days to be fully processed, where you see everything in the app, but you're able to start as soon as the background check is complete. So the background check typically is complete within an hour is what we get our results back. So if you've already enrolled and you're adding a new employee, so you already have employees and now you're adding a new one, that can usually be done right in that same day. We're able to do the employee enrollment, the background check, and get the person started. Thank you for the question.
Great. All right. The ARC, from start to finish, what is the standard timeline for employees to be cleared for work?
Thanks, Christy. So I would say as long as we have a new hire packet that is fully complete, we go ahead and expedite process on those that are fully completed, and we would have the staff cleared and ready to go as soon as we get the background check results back, which typically take about 2 to 3 business days. And I will say that in FMS Engine, there will be that self-service portal where staff can complete the application, and the application will not submit unless all fields are completed. So we strongly encourage people start checking that out. Thanks, Christy.
Great. PPL, from start to finish, what is the standard timeline for employees to be cleared for work?
So that is going to be dependent on the background check for the employee. If they've lived in a lot of different states, it could take up to 5 business days, but typically it's within 1 business day if their background check processes quickly. And our enrollment specialists, again, they are the ones that are going to be working with employees to ensure that their paperwork is completed correctly. So it is going to reduce the time as well.
Excellent. We had a question regarding EVV, and so I want to clear up a common misconception, and this applies to all 3 agencies, so I'll answer. So the question is, does the app for EVV need to be running in the background to track location and whether or not that's safe and how much data that would cause? So I'll clear this up quickly. EVV requires the clock in GPS catch, so they'll catch the location when the employee clocks in, and it'll catch the location when the employee clocks out. It is not monitoring throughout the day. The app does not need to be running. Additionally, all three agencies, the need for GPS location does not require data at that time. And the three of you can correct me if I'm wrong about it, but I'm pretty sure I'm right? So it doesn't need internet right away. You just need to eventually have internet in order to upload that data and information to the system. So I hope that clarifies some common misconceptions about EVV. One other question we had from a few people that I'll just allow each FMCS to share if they have any additional thoughts. But there is a lot of concern regarding EVV for family members, especially those who live in the location of, live in the same house with the person. So what supports do your FMCS provide to support especially live-in caregivers, family members who live there, and any other additional thoughts? So GT?
Thank you for the question. So currently in Maryland, EVV is required for all types of caregivers, including live-in family caregivers. That being said, we do offer some support. So when you log in the very first time, to keep time, or really any time to keep time, but the first time in this situation, if you want to mirror it, there's a little feature you can click on the button and mirror your login every time. So if you know you're going to be working for the same person with the same service code, you can have it pre-populated and just hit clock in to speed it up. So for a living caregiver, if you're always working for the same person, doing the same service, that becomes a really fast way rather than having to hand select. You can also set reminders, and should you be doing a service other than personal supports or respite, you can also do manual shift entry, which allows you to go in anytime during the time period, right? So it's 2 weeks long. So anytime in those 2 weeks, you can actually do all of the shifts at one time rather than clock in and out. So the only ones you have to do the EV clock in and out are the personal supports and respite. But for those, we have where you can mirror that login like I talked about. Hope that helps. Thanks.
All right, Diarc?
Yeah, I would say certainly check out our tools and technology page on our website so that way you guys can get familiar with the new EDDI system as a part of FMS Engine. I've also encouraged folks to start using, even if you're using paper timesheets, to start getting in that habit of, if you're providing personal supports or respite, to start logging your time in real time. Setting reminders for yourself may be helpful as well. But yeah, that EVV compliance bit is going to be a struggle for folks, and we're interested to see how DDA supports them. Thanks.
PPL?
Sorry, my video took a minute there. We do have in-app reminders for clock out, and we also have a favorites tab where you can add, that way it's just a little bit quicker to go ahead and clock in and out for the employees, for the participants that you typically serve. And then our team is always available to problem solve with you one-on-one. If you're having issues, if there's concerns, we're always available, and we can kind of pinpoint maybe what the issue is going on and try to problem solve.
Great, thank you so much. At this time, I'll make sure that we don't have any additional questions from any of our attendees. So any additional questions, you can raise your hand and I'll wait on you, or if you can get those in. It looks like somebody might have a question. Lita, if you have one, you can add that into the chat. We can wait and make sure we get that for you. And while we're entering into our last questions, Donna, do we have polls to run for today?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, great. Let's do that, and then we'll let people add questions if they have them.
All right, first one is, why did you come to the FMCS Information Fair today? So there's 4 responses. You can select the best one. Looks like almost half of you have voted. We'll give it another 20 seconds. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and share the results. So 29% said to learn about each FMCS so that I can make a decision. 52% said to learn about each FMCS to help others make decisions. And 19% said I was interested in the new FMCS agencies. And no one said they didn't know.
That's good news.
Okay, the next poll. Let us know what you think about today's informational session. There's 4 responses. I'll give you another 20 seconds. Okay, we're going to close the poll. Okay, 40% said it was clear and informative. 55% said it was good. I learned a few things. 5% were neutral, and no one said it was not helpful. All right, we have 2 more polls. So for family members and participants only. There are 4 responses here. Do you need more information in order to make a choice of an FMCS agency? And this is just for family members and participants. About a third of you have voted. I'll give you about 15 more seconds. And now we're going to close the poll. So 7% said, yes, I need much more information. 27% said, yes, I have a few questions to ask each FMCS. And 67% said, no, I will think about what I learned and make a decision. And no one said, no, I am going to make a choice now. Okay, last poll. Would you attend FMCS related webinars if offered on a regular basis? So it's yes, no, not sure. About half of you have voted. We'll leave it open another 20 seconds. Okay, we're getting ready to close it. Okay. And 71% said yes, 5% said no, 24% not sure. So thank you for participating in the polls.
Absolutely. Quickly, if you do feel like you need additional information in order to make an FMCS choice, I'm worried you can't see me. If you feel like you need additional information to make an FMCS choice, please feel free to reach out to these agencies directly and ask them questions, or to reach out to your regional lead. So if you're in Central Region, that is Ola. If you are in Southern Region, that's Tia. In Western, Kara, and in Eastern Shore, Jana, or shoot me an email. We're all happy to support you in helping that make this decision that makes sense for you. We had a couple more questions, so I'll go through them quickly. There was a question regarding if there would be pauses in pay if a person were changing FMCS agencies. So in our guidance, we kind of outline a process for how to change an FMCS. We are updating it to say you can change your FMCS at any time, but you do need to make sure that you give your outgoing and incoming FMCS 30 days notice so that they have enough time to do exactly all the work that needs to happen to make sure that there is no pause in pay. That is not the goal. So we've built in time for you to work with your old and new FMCS to make sure that there are no delays. The next question, I believe, is directly for the ARC, so I'll actually ask it and have Karen or Lee answer. So the question is in regards to EVV versus what Paycom is. So if someone is using electronic pay right now with the ARC and they're going forward with FMCS with the ARC, what does that process look like, and is it Paycom?
So moving forward, starting up January 1st, when EVV compliance is mandated in the state, all folks will be switching over to EVI, which is a module of FMS Engine. I strongly encourage folks that are currently using Paycom, continue using Paycom unless you have access to FMS Engine, in which case I would start using EVI at this point. But I would start using Paycom like you would start using EVI. So ensuring that staff, when providing personal supports or respite, is clocking their time in and out in real time. That way, come 1/1, when EVV compliance hits the fan, you guys will be able to slide right into it. Hopefully that answered your question.
It does. Great. All right. So we had a couple questions regarding background checks, and I didn't want to ignore them. Just so you know, the DDA is issuing updated guidance regarding background checks this week that include the ability to choose fingerprinting or to choose another option. And each FMCS has already been sort of briefed on that, and they will also receive written guidance, and they will be able to support you in figuring out which background check makes the most sense for you. So I wanted to make sure that was clear. And then there were some questions regarding people who might have made a choice on October 1st versus January 1st. The majority of people who self-direct in Maryland have chosen to wait until January 1st. I am very excited to say that most people who self-direct have already chosen an FMCS, but you still have some time, so please make sure to ask all your questions of these agencies and make that informed choice. We have another question. I'm glad we're still getting them. This is great. The new FMCS contract period. So how long are the contracts for each FMCS? I'm actually going to send that over to Monica because I don't want to say it wrong. So the question is regarding the state of Maryland's contracts with these agencies. How long are they? Hopefully Monica's there.
All right, I'm here. Yes,
Right.
I'm here. So the contracts are a 3-year base and 2 1-year option periods.
So the option for renewal for 2 years twice, right?
2 1-year option renewal periods.
2 1 year. So the option for an additional year and then another additional year, up to 5.
Right. So the contract could be a total of 5 years if the 2 option periods are exercised. Correct.
Great. So that is why we had Monica answer that, because I would get it wrong. All right. Does CPR and first aid certification need to be updated? And if so, does it need to be in person? So it's a really good question. We're in the middle of Appendix K, so I'll kind of answer it in I think maybe an interesting way. So the updated Appendix K guidance is employees can be cleared to work without first aid and CPR certifications as long as those certifications have not been expired for more than 18 months. At the end of that, at the end of Appendix K though, first aid and CPR will be required for any employees. If you're transitioning FMCSs, it does not need to be completed again, but the employees should present proof that they are currently certified or that they had a certification that's not expired by more than 18 months. Great. We had a couple of last minute questions, so I'll give it a second. Does anyone else have any other questions? All right. Well, excellent. Well, we thank you so much for coming out to this event. This is a recorded webinar, so it will be available to you should you want to continue. It is not only for folks who have not chosen yet. Anyone can decide. Anyone can attend and review this information, but we are really targeting people who have not yet made a choice. So we hope that this information was useful to you. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to the regional offices, to myself, or to Monica. We're happy to support in anything regarding FMCS transition. And please reach out to these agencies directly. They're very happy to answer your questions regarding their products. So we hope you have a great rest of the day.